Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aries energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. Because we all have our free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And some people could really be debating within themselves. They might want to move forward in life a little differently, but the bottom row can kind of represent our fears, our insecurities, or our comfort zone. And then we have people in our life, and we can have different people in our life. We could have people who align with our more high vibrational nature, who are kind of like loving and encouraging for us to love and believe in ourselves and heal and grow and mature ourselves. And we could have some other people in our life that we could love and that could love us, but they might like us to keep living life the way we've been living it. Hang out with them. So, some people more struggle with that than other people at different times in their life. And, there's always that's too many. There's always going to be people who are moving forward in life a little differently than they were before. There could be some people in their life that they've kind of distanced themselves from. Sometimes we distance ourselves from some people, we move forward and we were wrong. And then, the whole big thing is high vibe energy about not operating from your ego and willing to see the truth. Because it's our ego that kind of gets us tied up. And then we'll kind of repeat some old patterns, and we'll keep repeating some old patterns because we're in our ego, not wanting to see the truth. So, and as people are moving forward, we all have fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, and everybody's can be kind of different, and some can manipulate some people more than others. And a more just worldly Aries energy is people are just still more caught up, either being, still more caught up in the world and maybe defining their worth and value by more what they look like, or their money, or their status, or their image, or their social clout. Other people, that isn't really, people put in work and effort to have their jobs and their friendships and their relationships, and it just doesn't consume them as much as it consumes other people. And of course, some people can be very prideful, egotistical, materialistic. Our shadow nature is expansive. And everybody's kind of at different places of kind of emotional maturity, of tempering their ego nature. So, the reason for the bottom rose reading is the Hangman, which can be about, we look at life the way we look at it. And that's where we're at. It's kind of hard to look at life from a different perspective when you don't have a different perspective. When we were 15, 18, 21, 25, we lived our life from that perspective because that's where we were at. And the truth is, regardless of how old people can be, some people are much more self-aware, have a much more expanded perception of themselves and the world, and of how they view the world. And some people can be very narrow-minded, very closed-minded, very stubborn. The reason for the top rose reading is the Knight of Wands, and it's also the reason why the reading came out. We've all been more immature, is what the Knight of Wands talks about. We all were repeating old patterns. And we all got lessons learned. And sometimes we can have people in our life, whether it's friends and family or coworkers or people in the neighborhood. There's always going to be some more immature people. We would like them to move forward with us in a more just and fair way. We wish they harnessed some high vibe hangman, that they would be enlightened to the truth. But, we've all went on this journey, and we're all at whatever stage of emotional maturity level we're at. And there's always going to be some people who are more, that we would view as more immature, got some lessons learned. And there's always going to be some people who seem to kind of have wrapped their brain around this game of life and look at life a little differently than we do, and kind of look at life more as an adventure than we do. And because that's positive Sagittarius, is life is an adventure. We're all here to learn these lessons, but until we learn some of these lessons, we're going to kind of maybe be drawn and attracted to certain things and motivated and inspired to do certain things until we kind of see through, or we just kind of just it's about learning the lesson we were meant to learn. When we've learned the lesson we were meant to learn, again, we'll keep repeating a pattern, and then it's like ding, 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 ding. I kind of think I've learned the lesson I needed to learn here. I'm ready to be inspired and face my fears and my insecurities, or I healed or grew or matured myself in some way. I'm ready to go on to the next adventure. Or I see how I was immature, or I was stubborn, or I was prideful, whatever it is that we needed to learn. But we can all have been at these different stages of life, just like we all could have been 21 at one time, right? The things I could have needed to learn and that were kind of a situation that was my own unique thing to learn before I could move forward in life differently could be different than some other people at that stage of life, because I could have not worked through things that they had worked through, and I could have worked through things that they hadn't worked through. So we can all kind of have different things that manipulate us. And that's why we live life the way we do. We hang out with certain people and do certain things, is because of these different things of how we view life and what manipulates us. And when we work through it, we move forward in life differently. So let's go look at the bottom row first. We have the Seven of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, the Ten of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, and a card not showing itself, which is the Death card. We'd all like things that we've invested in. That's the Seven of Pentacles. Well, I've invested in something, and I like this, or I like them, or I like this job, or whatever it is. I'd like it to work out the way I want. Or I'm at that stage of life. This is what I want to invest in. This is how I view life. The thing is, as we live through a stage of life, it is, the Hangman is Pisces energy, which is kind of listening to our intuition and the dreams that we have for our life. We don't want to keep doing this, a certain way of living life forever, right? I didn't want to be 21 or 25 forever, even though it could have been a blast at one point in time. But then it's like listening to your intuition that though I did like this way of living life, my intuition is kind of telling me that there's nothing new to learn here. That can be shadowy energy. It's kind of, in the Death card, is kind of dead and stagnant. I just keep repeating the same thing over and over. I'm not growing and healing and maturing myself to my full potential. I might not be facing my fears. I might, instead of moving forward in life differently, I keep indulging maybe my more worldly nature, my more emotionally immature nature, my more prideful, egotistical nature. Making my life more about the world, more inspired by the world, more inspired by me, more inspired by other people. Whatever it is. Or maybe certain things I like to indulge in to make me feel better. But it keeps me stuck. We maybe, as time goes by, again, things aren't, you think of when you turn 21, maybe going out, and going to the bar. Well, does that mean you want to do it forever? To the extent that you did it when you were 21? Everything has its phase of life. Just like, do I want to live my life like I'm a senior in high school when I'm 35 and I'm not a senior in high school anymore? Why aren't we kind of moving forward in life, facing our fears, believing in ourselves, believing in our dreams, that we can learn lessons? And it's kind of like, if you were to look at life as a video game, at each stage of life we have challenges and obstacles to overcome, or else you fall through and you go back down to the next level, or you could fall back down all the way to the beginning. When you master the levels, you really don't like it when you have to drop down to the bottom or down a row. because you want to see if you can overcome the obstacles at the next challenge of life. But that's why in life, some people don't want to go to the next level because they might have fear. Well, you know, maybe it won't work out. Maybe I won't be as victorious and successful. And that's why some people could like stay in the same job, even though there could be a lot of things that make them feel stuck eventually. Initially it's great to have a job, but then as you learn lessons in a job, why don't we love and believe in ourselves that I think I can take on different responsibilities, use what I've learned here, and learn more things? Well, there's some people in the world that even if there's a part of them that would like to, they don't want to do it because then people would kind of expect more of them. I don't know. And again, it's so hard to wrap your brain around it when you don't really kind of think that way. But there's some people who don't want other people to even know maybe what they're capable of. And because I guess because they're not sure. Well, I don't know if I'd want to do that all the time. Maybe in a relationship, it's like I might like someone more. They might drive, motivate, and inspire me to love and believe in myself. And there's maybe a part of me that would like to do that, but I'm not sure, you know, if I want to be more authentic or loving or encouraging, maybe. Because in high vibe, it's about authentically being inspired to want from truth and love and justice and fairness and feeling proud of yourself, to do it because it's authentically who you are. And sometimes we get in more mismatched relationships with people, they're not kind of inspired within themselves to. And we can all go through slumps, and we can all feel backstabbed and betrayed and have fears and insecurities. And then we can have people come in our life, and we can play that role in other people's lives where we try to offer them love and encouragement. But eventually we could start to see there's some people want to have people kind of stay in that energy in a way, because in their mind, that is like the dream life. Well, I don't really want to have to put work and energy to be inspired within myself. I might be shadow. I view this as Taurus energy. I might not really like to look at people like life from another perspective, or even try to see things from other people's perspective. I have my way of living life, and I might even like being kind of stubborn. I might like being kind of unbudging, unwilling to change. And partly it could be, even if it doesn't work in their favor, some people are just fearful of stepping outside their comfort zone or doing life any differently. Even if they feel stuck, even if the way they live their life keeps making them stuck and makes them feel like they sabotage themselves, or the people they go invest in or hang out with, those people backstab them. We either see the truth and love and believe in ourselves enough. That's kind of high vibe energy. I know my worth and value, and I know what I bring to the table. And we all could have, we want to be in friendship and relationship with people, and we've all went through stages of life where it's really wanting other people to like us and appreciate us and view us a certain way, and that is shadowy energy because it's kind of more codependent energy. But we want those things in the world, and that's Taurus being earth sign energy. In our worldly nature of self, we want to be in friendship and relationship with people. Well, to what are we willing to sacrifice for it? Well, for people who haven't been inspired to offer love to themselves and quit being in their ego about other people in the world who maybe don't want to be in a friendship or relationship with them, or they're maybe kind of stubborn or prideful or whatever. But Taurus energy can also represent that people might, from our perspective, we might view them as having more. Because over here we have the Four of Pentacles, and over here we have the Seven of Pentacles. Like maybe those people have more status or more image, or people like them or something. And we can want people to let us be part of that group, right? Or something. Well, some people always live their life like that, no matter how old they are. The most important thing is people that they view as people who have more status, image, power, influence. They want those people to kind of validate their worth and value. And I think, again, life's about kind of learning lessons that the more we might want, why do we view those people as having that certain status or image? I mean, yeah, sometimes some people have more money, needless, and more social clout, more friends, more whatever, but if they don't really seem to want to invest in us, part of it can be is we might not know really the truth of the foundation that they operate from, but they know the truth of the foundation they operate from, and they might know that your truth is different than their truth. Um, Shadowy energy can be more prideful, stubborn, um, and then maybe they only want to be with other people who are more stubborn or prideful or materialistically motivated. And, some people think, well, yeah, man, that's the way I want to live my life too. I'm into that. I want to be in that crowd for the ego or the image or the status and be stubborn and prideful. But the other people could know this, some other people. It's like, I don't really think that's the truth of who you are. I think you are a little more, look at life a little differently, might be a little more, uh, look at life a little differently, might kind of, it's kind of like being aligned with the opposition to whatever degree, because we have our dualistic nature. Either one is kind of considered the competition to the other one, and within the range of shadow and the range of high vibe, over here at the far corner we have God, over here there at the other corner we have the devil, and then we have all the people somewhere on the spectrum of being a little more just, a little more fair, a little more compassionate, a little more understanding, a little bit more just, a little bit more fair. We all have all these kind of different attitudes of how we treat people and what we kind of think is just and fair. And again, people kind of like to hang out with people to a degree that kind of either think or feel the way they do, or if I can't kind of manipulate you and dominate you or control you, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And if I think you kind of view life a little differently, I might not want to hang around you because I don't even want to look at life from that perspective. And I kind of think you do. I mean, you could even do it as Taurus energy can represent all these different institutions of the world and all these different philosophies of life. You know, it could be some people, I don't even really want to get to know you more or spend more time with you because of your political viewpoints. And if I like to talk about mine and you like to talk about yours, yeah, this isn't going to work. Because I just would rather not even hang out with people if I know I like to talk about mine and I know you like to talk about yours, but they're different. I kind of would rather hang out with the people because I do like to talk about it, and I like to hang out with people who kind of view life from my perspective, and we can enjoy feeling, that we're reinforcing each other's viewpoints, But it can be, I just think there's some people in the world who are really hung up on trying to get people who they think who have a certain status or image in the world, and they feel rejected by those people, and it bothers them, and it has them in their ego. Now, there could be other people in the world who it's like, why do you... I do not view that person as anybody I would be interested in wanting to be in a more involved friendship or relationship with. But you're also maybe not someone who is big on like wanting people to view you a certain way or to necessarily have a certain status and image, and think that those are the people other people could think. If you wanted to have more status or image in the world, it shouldn't be them. But everybody has their perspective, right? And the more we are in our shadow nature, in a way, the more we could, it kind of clouds our judgment, right? Another way this could be interpreted, though, is people wanted to be in a relationship with someone. The other person didn't really want to be in a relationship with them for some reason. And partly it can be, again, we can kind of have these differences. We kind of look at life differently. And a more shadowy energy can be, and we can all feel this way in a relationship. Some people have more of a problem with it than others. That, well, I don't want to change. And I think you might live your life differently. You might view life differently. You might have been in different types of relationships, kind of have certain expectations of people, like how much work and effort they put in, how more cooperative they are, how more just and fair they are. And I think if I were to be in a relationship with you, I think you'd, from the 7 to the 3, or the 4 is the 3 of Pentacles, you'd want me to work with you maybe in a more cooperative way, because that's how you view life. And that's really not how I view life. I really do kind of like it where other people kind of indulge me in my more stubborn ways, my more prideful ways. If I'm more about the world and I think you might be more motivated by love, I know you might be motivated by love. And high vibe would be wanting to be in more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving, deep, meaningful relationships. And, some other people are like, no, I would be in a relationship with you, but I just kind of want to indulge in it. I don't really want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship, because I have the free will in the Ten of Swords of my Gemini nature of self. You're more about kind of hope and faith and belief and love, and I made the free will choice somewhere in my life that wasn't my truth. That is not how I view life. I get hurt doing that. I'm not doing love. Shadowy fire sign energy, I want to be in relationships, can enjoy relationships, willing to invest in people. I could be willing to work together with you, to work together cooperatively and try to see things from your perspective. I'm not really going to more emotionally ever invest. I have turned my back on my more hopeful, believing inner child nature. So just like some people don't align with that nature within themselves and they turn their back on it, unwilling to kind of offer love to themselves and this philosophy of life that they have, to try to even figure out, why am I so defensive to love? Or why am I so bossy or controlling? Or why am I so immature? Why do I think I should be able to be indulged in a relationship? Or why do I think people should indulge me in my immature nature? Whatever their thing is, some people are like, no, I view life the way I view it. I view relationships the way I view it. I think that's just and fair. And I am not willing to, like, their own high vibe nature would like them to quit holding, high vibe energy is about being balanced. In our worldly nature, we want some of these things of the world. In our high vibe nature, we also want truth and love and justice and fairness and maybe to grow up and mature ourselves and kind of act with some character and integrity. But some people, they got caught up in some things that it really, or something, they're just really much more, their shadowy, worldly nature is in the driver's seat of their life. And they are not willing to work more cooperatively with their more hopeful, believing nature. And so then they're not willing to work with people in their life more cooperatively that might be aligned with their more hopeful, believing nature. And they want to go invest in people who live life maybe like they do, thinking that will make them happy. Let's invest in living more from our worldly nature. Let's not look at life from any other perspective. Let's not go on an adventure. I don't want to learn more lessons. I am happy making my life about the world. And so long as we have some stability and security, and I might have a job and I might be in a relationship, I'm good. And I don't want to detach from my more worldly nature. In their Capricorn and their Taurus energy, Capricorn can be what I view as victorious and successful. And I'm not willing to detach from my more worldly view of life. The most important thing is to have a certain status and image, money, materialism, or something, or it be more about me. And I am sure that will make me happy, and no one's going to change my mind. And they reject, in high vibe, the death card talks about death and transformation, where I look at life differently. I see what are maybe some not so good building blocks that I should maybe let go of. But I'd have to be willing to be illuminated to the truth about those, what needs to go. And some people are like, I don't want to give up anything. If I were willing to give up something, then I could maybe do life differently. But there's nothing they want to give up. And the most important thing they might not want to give up is their more being either more about themselves, because the Four of Pentacles could be, I don't want to open up. I have what I have, and again, I'm willing to be in relationships. Some people, I'm willing to be in relationships with people, but I am not going to let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play in the world. They could get hurt. So I'm not willing to emotionally, the Scorpio is emotional water sign. I am not willing to change my viewpoint. I'm not willing to look at life any differently. And they could hide that maybe emotionally they're just more superficial and shallow, because that's what shadowy Scorpio can be, that anyone can harness. I'm kind of more about these things of the world or me. And, Scorpio talks about the fact that we are these emotionally complex human beings. And some people are like, I found it confusing. That's not the foundation I want to operate from. It's too confusing. I don't want to connect in with my emotions. I'd rather live more from my mind than my heart. And so there's some people in my life that maybe I enjoyed and they wanted to stay in a relationship with me. But their truth is different. And maybe they're not more motivated and inspired by these things of the world. That's not really the foundation they operate from. And they're not willing to stay in a more emotionally shallow and superficial relationship for these reasons of the world. And I am. That's why I get in them. That's why I stay in them. And that's why I could have a hard time leaving one if it has more of these things of the world that I want. Or I have someone who indulges me in my ego, or I have someone who is willing to keep staying in a relationship with me if I'm indulging them. Some people just have a lot of fear of being more independent. I don't want, I don't care how bad this relationship is. I'm not leaving it. For some people, I don't care if I don't like them. I don't care if they don't like me. If this, by worldly standards, that I'm emotionally investing in, and a Seven of Pentacles looks pretty good, a little above average, there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. This looks good. This is a good investment. I don't want to let go of it, because maybe if I ended it, I would have less, and I also might feel stuck, and I'd have to go find a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship. And I might even be hiding. I would find the relationship dead and emotionally shallow and superficial, or I don't love them, they don't love me. But if we're both afraid of getting out of it, even though we both feel stuck, neither one of us is willing to end it. So we could just kind of indulge each other. The pages could be not investing in it very much emotionally, and some people, they're both those type of people. I don't want to emotionally invest very much in this. Are you willing to stay in a relationship with me even though I don't really like to open up? And again, it's like getting in relationships with people who kind of view life the same way you, kind of the same comfort zone. I don't really like to open up. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I don't really like to open up. I don't really want to step out of my comfort zone. Are you happy doing your life like this, maybe forever? Yeah, I don't like stepping out of my comfort zone either. I don't really look at life from a higher perspective, or maybe even have hope and I maybe don't want to be more independent, and all these things. It's just to find someone who, and if they're in a relationship and in workplaces and they all kind of live life at whatever stage of life they're at, they could all in their own way be happy. And we can be at a phase of life where I have no interest in ending this, in wanting to end it. And part of it can be, other people can be moving forward in life differently because they were living life a certain way or at that job or whatever. And they just realized something about it. I can't keep living my life like this, When you view life differently, view yourself differently, or you've kind of worked through some things that used to make you hold back from being more looking at life differently. But then, when a card isn't showing itself, it can mean that people were doing some work behind the scenes. Some people could have kind of realized, I feel kind of stuck. I feel like, I can like a lot of things in my life and people and all that good stuff, but just within myself, and Aries energy is about the self, I have some things within myself that kind of keep me stuck. It doesn't even have anything to do with anyone else. And some people could even do some of this work within themselves because they're afraid if they don't, that maybe the other people they're in friendship and relationship with maybe eventually won't want to keep staying in a relationship with them. Like, if I don't work, if I don't grow up, and if I don't temper my ego, and if I don't kind of indulge in whatever I could indulge in, or being a little more stubborn, or a little more prideful, or a little whatever, I could sabotage this relationship, and I don't want to sabotage this relationship. So I am emotionally going to do this work within myself to kind of detach from some things and ways about me that could stop me from going on the adventure. Because thinking that other people want to go and want you to free yourself from some things that manipulate you. So then some people could do that, and then they could find out that the people they're in a relationship, well, I didn't want you to do that. Why'd you do that? Now you kind of want to move forward differently. It's like, well, I thought you wanted me to, and I thought maybe I would hurt the relationship if I didn't kind of grow up and mature myself some and kind of look at life differently and work through some of my past pain and heartbreak. And I didn't want to be the one to sabotage the relationship. But sometimes when you do this work within yourself, and maybe because some things are going on and you don't understand, and it's like, well, maybe it's me, and maybe it's this, and maybe it's that, and you certainly don't want to blame your partner. So you do this work within yourself, and then you do it, and then that causes more of a problem in the relationship because some of those people could say, I got in the relationship because you were in this energy over here. But then you kind of worked through something in the Three of Pentacles in your worldly nature of self. You kind of looked at life differently and you kind of expanded your perception of yourself and how you view the world or how you view life, or worked through some things of some past pain and heartbreak. And now you're not in this energy, but I got in the relationship with you because you're in that energy. I didn't even want you to do that. Because if I had wanted to be in a relationship with someone who was in that kind of energy, I would have gotten in a relationship with people like that. And I was holding back from people like that and decided I wanted to be in a relationship with someone who was here. So we can get in relationships with people. And sometimes some people do want us to be in a certain type of energy because they can be in that energy and they might never plan to work through some of their fears, their insecurities, their past pain and heartbreak to ever look at life differently. It's like, oh, no, sorry. You would kind of think in a relationship that you would offer each other love and encouragement to help each other free yourself from things that manipulate you so you can kind of move forward in the relationship. But some people really, they're happy with just continuing to always do this because they don't want to change. And then they don't want to be in the friendship or the relationship anymore. And some of them liked it when other people were more codependent on them and they didn't love and believe in themselves and maybe didn't believe in their dreams and were more fearful or codependent and would keep indulging them in their kind of shadowy ways of being or something, or living their life like that forever. But it's just not that everybody does. It's a normal process during life that we have a way of living life and viewing life. But during the course of living our life that way, we do kind of see what kind of things, I don't really want to do those things anymore. And that didn't really seem to work out. And I just got these issues within myself that periodically I kind of get inspired within myself that I want to open up the bag of things that I've been dragging around forever. And I want to start looking through them and see the truth about them so I can let them go and not carry that baggage anymore. And that's when somebody shed a layer of themselves. And I'm ready to kind of give birth to a new me. Just like we did. That's kind of why I have the nesting dolls over there. When I was 15, I viewed life a certain way. I wasn't going to stay a 15-year-old forever. I wasn't going to view life like that forever. I was going to shed that layer, work through some things, look at life differently as I grew and healed and matured myself. And then I was going to become like an 18-year-old. And then I was going to become like a 21-year-old and a 25-year-old. But there can be some people that, they might have done those things, some of them, at those stages of life. But they could have had this idea, this dream, kind of, that, well, yeah, we all had to do that at that age. But I kind of thought once I got maybe to be 25 or 30, I wasn't going to have to do any of that anymore. I'm happy doing it like this, like forever. And other people are like, oh my gosh. And the whole thing is what they might not realize. We could kind of know that the reason we don't go to kind of that next phase of life and face some of our fears and insecurities is because we have our fears and insecurities, right? And stepping out of our comfort zone and all those things. So even though we might want to quit holding back and holding on to an old way of doing things, we still have a hard time detaching from it. And then it kind of wears on our self-esteem. And that also from the 7 down to the 4, it's kind of like it kind of erodes our foundation, because if you were to look at life kind of slowly, if life was kind of rolling a ball up a hill, a slight incline, it kind of takes some work and effort. Not too tough, small, steady steps every day. And some people, and you can do your whole life around it. Oh, today we just got to move the ball like 1 foot, you know? And some people are like, I'm tired of doing that. I'm good just right here. But again, it's kind of like in tarot, you can hear these metaphors about going with the flow of life. That's like the Wheel of Fortune card. Continuing to go with the flow of life. So again, just like tubing down a river. And, it's one thing to set up camp on the side of the riverbank and then you keep going, periodically in your life. But some people, it's like resisting the flow of life, and that's dead energy. I do not want to give birth to anything new. But then it stays dead and stagnant, and other people feel it feels dead and stagnant. And they could be, I don't care, this makes me happy, and it might make me feel stable and secure. But then there's some people who aren't moving forward, shadowy people, out of stubbornness and ego. They know they have people in their life that wish they would quit being so stubborn and prideful and egotistical. It's like, I'll show you. I would live my whole damn life being like this. It's like, you should be so proud of yourself and your shadowy Taurus and Aries energy. And that's when some people, it's like, I can't stay here. So, it's seeing the truth. Everybody has the free will to live their life whatever way they want. At one time, this could have been my truth. I thought we were going to be loving and encouraging and supportive to keep healing and growing and maturing ourselves, to keep going on this adventure. But we seem to have gotten to the point where if it would require you to look at life from a different perspective, or maybe detach from your more worldly view of life, or opening up a little more and being more independent of your defensive nature or ego nature, we apparently have gotten to where the line has been drawn in the sand, and I accept that. Maybe not easily, but I think that's what high vibe people do. I'm not going to stay on my ego, and I'm not going to stay angry or sad or feeling backstabbed or betrayed. This is the truth. I need to deal with the truth. Enlightened to the truth. Life is an adventure. Not, an Aries energy can be where we kind of think we're the boss and we had this dream, and if I did this and I did that, or even if I was just and fair and authentic and loving, it doesn't mean things are going to work out the way we want. And we have to realize we're not the boss. And when we see that, we have to accept that maybe some people we would like to be in friendship and relationship with, some of those people don't want to be in friendship and relationship or a more involved one. Just like we can have people want to be in a more involved friendship or relationship with us, and we're like, I'm good. Or, oh damn, you're much more bold and brave and confident than me, and I wish I was, but I'm not. So me and my friends, we're going to work out and try to get more bold and brave and confident, but you go. We've all kind of been on either side of it. It's just that some people are more stubborn, more prideful, more emotionally shallow and superficial. Some people really like to live more from their mind than their heart. Some people really do not want to open up emotionally. Some people are more immature. Some people are much more materialistic. And it's just to see the truth of and accept the truth of where people were at. And of course, when we were younger, we had a lot of lessons to learn because we could have thought everybody looks at life the way we look at life. And the other people on the other side of the fence could have thought, well, of course, everybody looks at life and is motivated and inspired by me or these things of the world just like I am. And then we all kind of realize, wow, people look at life differently. And some people aren't as fearful as me, and some people aren't as immature or stubborn or shallow or superficial or immature or self indulgent. And some people work through those things and they kind of grow up and mature themselves. And other people didn't. You know? Eventually, with the high vibe people, it's like, I'm not willing to stay. If I've offered truth and love to people, and that's not how they want to work together with me, I'm not going to stay stuck in something feeling backstabbed. I have a dream. And it is working together with people who want to work together with me, inspired to work together cooperatively. And if it's romantic and it's supposed to be about love, it's not supposed to be an emotionally shallow, superficial relationship where you're operating from your ego. You are supposed to be inspired by love to work through your defensiveness and your ego, not just indulge yourself in a relationship, but you don't ever let your more authentic nature out to play in the world. When I'm letting mine out to play in the world. So the other people get inspired to wrap their brain around this game of life. And it's kind of seeing my dream can't come into reality with people who aren't inspired to work together in a more authentic, just and fair way. And if their idea of what they think is just and fair is different than mine, and the way they view relationships and why they want to be in relationships and why they want to stay in them or whatever they want to go indulge in to make them happy, that's not my truth. So you go do that. Go enjoy your life. So then we come up to the top row. And some people are in the stages of working through these kind of things. Other people have already moved on from those things. And then they're dealing with new people in the world. Again, all I can do is the page can be making small gestures to people, whether it's in your community or workplace or whatever, to get to know people. And there's going to be some people like, no, I'm not interested. You know, if I have to work together with you, I will work together with you, but I'm going to hold back from you. It's like, okay, you know, fear, insecurity, pride, ego, who knows what the hell they're going through. But I'm going to offer love to it and the situation. I'm not going to stay in my ego about it. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I wish you peace, and I'm going to continue on with my day and my life. But with some more significant people in their life, people had to work through what it was within me that made me get in it and stay in it with some of those friendships and relationships. Again, whether it's your own adult children, brother, sister, mom, dad, or romantic relationship or friendship, right? Because they don't want to repeat this pattern, you know? And it can be, some people are very loving and encouraging people and compassionate people, and they can kind of indulge people in a relationship. And then other people can kind of get spoiled in a relationship. And then they think, you should keep indulging me in a relationship. And you should be the one who puts in most of the work and effort to make it just and fair and loving and nurturing. And eventually I might want to hardly do much of anything to make this relationship work. And then I might get kind of full of myself and think, well, hey, I want you to indulge me more. You know, because that's shadowy energy too. Just like people can make their life about certain things that they think will make them happy, whether it's drugs or alcohol or money or attention or whatever. They keep needing more and more because they're looking to something that isn't the answer, but they haven't been illuminated to the truth yet. So they, just like we could have all have done that at one point in time, and some of you and us, even though we could be younger or older than some people. And some people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe, the things, that some people are doing, but some people haven't learned these lessons yet. They never had that life experience. And other people are like, damn, I did that when I was like 18 or 21. And then you got people being like 45 and 55 doing shit. And it's like, wow, I just would have thought you kind of had learned some of those lessons by now, but they hadn't, right? And sometimes we get in relationships with people because we can, fire sign energy, again, be drawn and attracted to people. And we kind of don't want to see the truth that there are people we should have never gotten in a relationship with to begin with, and we should have held back from them. But because we wanted what we wanted in the world and to manifest and, all these other things that we could have gotten in a relationship with someone that we never should have gotten in a relationship with to begin with. So let's go look at this card. The Nine of Wands, which, like the Knight of Wands, is Sagittarius energy. Well, with some people in our life, the Nine of Wands can be feeling wounded and kind of feeling defensive about closing out a cycle with some people. So, especially if it's people that, could be in a foundational relationship with us again, like a family member. They can be stubborn, they can be prideful, they can be hurtful, they can be unkind, whatever, but they're our family. So, the thing is, we don't, you know, not with just everybody in the world, but, we can extend over here. We have the Temperance card, which is also Sagittarius energy, which can be being patient, but we can be patient from a distance. So we start out, the reason for the reading in the top row is the one wand, and then we go to the Nine of Wands. Right before the Nine of Wands is the Eight of Wands, right? And that can be distancing ourselves from some people. And here we could have decided, I wish you peace and love, but in the Three of Pentacles, I'm not going to work together with you anymore. I feel like, I have done everything I can. What more can I do? How much does it have to be your way or be indulged or something, right? Or finally, someone was so hurtful and unkind or whatever that it's like, if I have to see you at Christmas, I will see you at Christmas. But other than that, I wish you peace. So, and this whole experience could have been for some people to really learn to stand up for themselves, because kind of energetically and how people choose to act or react or not act is them standing up for their truth. And it can be really hard because we can have love for people. And, sometimes, again, we got to let people go on their own journey, especially if they could be younger people. They got to learn some lessons the hard way, just like the rest of us did. And then even if they're older and we think, oh my God, you're being an idiot. But, they made the choices they made for some other reason, and they're gonna have to go learn some hard lessons too. And I'm not gonna keep moving forward with you in that energy. Something changed, and it did not change for the better. So, had to work through maybe your own past pain, heartbreak, wounding. Maybe defensive of more loving and believing in yourself, believing in your dreams, going on a new adventure. And you offered to be inspired to, instead of staying defensive and maybe feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to drop the burden. Again, what more can you offer people than truth and love, and to try to work together with them in a just and fair, authentic, loving, encouraging way? Apparently, if that's not your truth, then it's not your truth. Or that's not how you want to work with me in return. So, again, I get out of my defensiveness, I get out of my ego, I accept the truth that everybody is where they're at, and I go on this new adventure to live my truth. And the people in my life who are defensive to going on that adventure with me, again, some people, they're in their own loving, supportive, encouraging relationships. For some people, right? It's like, okay, I wish you peace. Maybe you'll just be a good role model for me. For other people, it's like, I think you're kind of maybe more shadowy than I realized. But if people aren't inspired to work with me in that way, in the devil card, I'm not going to stay in negative energy about it. I could think for quite a while, maybe that my dream can't come into reality, or I wish that dream with that person, even if I wanted to be in a friendship and relationship, and hoping you be in a friendship and relationship with them all your life. But, if they're not wanting to work together with you to maintain that friendship, I'm not going to stay in shadowy energy about it. The devil looks just like the Lover's card, except it's kind of a toxic relationship, either codependent, or people are being manipulative or controlling or prideful or unjust, unfair. And it's like, I deserve to be in a just and fair and balanced relationship, and this isn't it. So I let go of the people in my life that have kind of shown me they're not willing to work together with me in that way. And then in the Temperance card, it's like aligning with the divine, that again, to help me balance out my emotions and get balance within myself. And Scorpio could talk about that it is confusing, but we can work through the emotional confusion and look at life differently. And again, I cannot know why some people act the way they act, behave the way they act, come to tarot. Sometimes people aren't telling us, and it can be, we don't know why. Well, until they tell us, then I don't know. So I wish you peace, but I'm not going to keep trying to change you or pursue you, or I'm going to go take action towards people who I do think want to work with me in a more just and fair and balanced way, and go enjoy my life. And again, if at some future point in time you want to tell me what it is, okay, but otherwise I just accept that, everybody's where they're at. Everybody's got their own fears, their own insecurities, their own self-limiting beliefs, their own more immature nature, or codependent on other people, or indulging other people, and that they're maybe more codependent on. So what's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Aries energy? And also probably learning that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love. That some people, it is more about them. It is more about money and materialism. That is, the most important thing is it either be about them, their way or the highway, or has to have and consumed like an addict to having a certain status or image or material wealth in the world, right? And other people are like, in the Temperance card of balance, it's like, I don't understand it because I don't think that way. I want to balance of both, and I don't need all. It just doesn't drive and motivate me, and I'm not my ego about it. When is enough enough? And for some people, enough is never enough. And it does become like an all-consuming thing. And for some of those people who went to go invest in that, and some of those people who are, I don't think it's going to work out the way they want, because if they try to get in relationship with other people, some of those other people, they could not be seeing things clearly again. Their perception is clouded. They could view other people like, oh, I'm sure this person is more about this and that, or looks at life this way, or views life that way. And again, those people could have been, maybe at one point in time I did, and I was more caught up in those things. But over time, I changed. And what they didn't realize was that other people kind of changed over time. And they were like, oh no, they used to be like this when they were that age and viewed life this way, and were more caught up in this. I'm sure they're still caught up in it. Those people would maybe be willing to get in a relationship with them. But again, some of those people are like, too, it's like, well, I kind of lived that life, and I've already kind of been there and done that. I'm kind of ready to move forward differently. And the other person's like, damn, another person who's looked at life differently. Why do other people grow and heal and mature themselves? I am never going to do that within myself. Why are less and less people wanting to get in a relationship with me and stay in it more out of fear, insecurity, or for the money or the status? That's what I want to do. What's coming up for the high vibe Aries people? They're inspired to go on an adventure, not willing to live in hell anymore. A hell they create within themselves by indulging their more immature or fearful whatever nature. They're not doing it. They're inspired to get balance within themselves, to free themselves from things that manipulate them, from love, to get the justice they deserve. Now, as some of you are moving forward in that energy, there you will meet people, and some of those people are more immature and shadowy. There's always going to be shadowy people in the world. And I think you'll be willing to get to know people. But again, I think you'll maintain balance within yourself and enjoy life. But it's like, I'm not going to indulge more immature people, even if I am attracted to you. Been there, done that. Not going to be tempted more by the world. If people aren't being more authentic and inspiring and just and fair and like mature, no. Oh my goodness, what do we got? The Knight of Swords, the Nine of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Devil, the Ace of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, the Knight of Cups. And the reason is because of the Three of Wands. So as people go on this journey to take action on their dream, they're standing up for themselves. Two cards of like defending yourself against people who've maybe already backstabbed and betrayed you, were hurtful, unkind, unjust, unfair, more worldly focused, self-focused, want to be in a relationship that's more of an illusion. How about you be just and fair and loving, and I indulge in the relationship and we view me as being like you? It's like, no, because you're more about yourself and you don't really authentically invest in it. So it's kind of the illusion of love on your part. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's defensive to stop being more about themselves or just indulging themselves in a relationship. You can go find someone else. I'm going to invest in people who aren't some high vibe Aries energy, not a more worldly shadowy energy, who have learned to love themselves, to be firing on all four cylinders, where it is motivated and inspired by truth and love. And if there's no one in my environment that is in that kind of energy, I'll invest in myself and my career and my friends and my family and just enjoying my life, that I'm not in a relationship with this superficial, shallow, or worse type of relationship. I'm going to go see what God's got in store for me. And I think as you do that work within yourself and offer love to the situation and stand up for yourself and stand up for your truth, I think as you do that, there's probably other people in your life that are being loving and encouraging of you and defending you, just like you're being loving and encouraging of them and defending them. And you're all going to go on this journey willing to learn lessons in life, is what the Ace of Pentacles talks about. I am willing to admit I don't know everything, and I've got lessons learned. And I'm willing to get out of my ego to work together with people, and though cooperatively, and I'm looking to get in relationships with other people who are like that. The people who are motivated and inspired to work together like that. And the people who don't, we wish you peace and love. And just like people can do that in friendships and relationships, employers could do that in workplaces. We're trying to move things forward. And if the people that you're working for are loving and encouraging and supportive, they might tell some of the people at the workplace that are like, well, I don't know if I really want to do that. And can't we just do this? And isn't this just good enough? And it's like, I think we might wish you peace, and we might go try to find someone else to work here who does seem more motivated and inspired to and likes their job or something, intrinsically within themselves. Just, it's one thing if you don't like your job, then get out of your job. Some people might be telling an employer, I'm leaving this job. People create a little hell on earth, and you have the free will to create a little hell on earth, or in workplaces and relationships, or you have the free will to create a little heaven on earth. I'm going to go find people who want to create a little heaven on earth. What's coming up for people who, and I think, the people who are more motivated and inspired by that, when you quit investing your time, energy, and effort into the people who've already shown you that's not their truth, it frees you up to go listen to your intuition, follow your path, and eventually it will lead you to people. But you've got to get out of your ego and quit thinking other people who've shown you, I am not interested in changing, or I would have. Wish them peace and move on. And that is you going with the flow and able to find people who are more on the same page as you. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming up? Okay, we have two cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Nine of Cups. Well, so Pisces energy again. Shadowy energy, again, can be how people view life and what they think will make them happy. But some people do want to be indulged in a relationship, or there's things they want to go indulge in that they think will make them happy. And it can, again, indulged in being more about them, indulging in the world of money and materialism, or it has to be more about them, And what they don't see coming, in High Vibe, the Nine of Cups talks about becoming independent. And they're always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life that have been trying to get them to look at life differently, to become independent of something that manipulates them. And eventually, the high vibe people in their life are, it's like Judgment Day. This was the last time. And if this isn't your truth, it isn't your truth. And then I'm going to offer that cup of love to myself to emotionally detach from this and accept the truth and become independent of it. And the shadowy people will be maybe surprised. And then you got to realize sometimes when some people are being hurtful or unkind or not investing in it, sometimes they want the people to leave. But they want the other people, because shadowy energy can be people more about their ego and their image, because that's what they have to offer people, because they don't really do love. I want you to leave, so kind of maybe like you look like the bad guy, and then I'm going to go invest in what I really want to invest in. But I didn't want to leave, and I didn't want to be the one to reveal the truth that I don't want to be in it, so I'm going to act in these shadowy ways. And if I want to be shadowy and you keep indulging me in it, well, then that'll work. But if I'm shadowy and being shadowy, and it's because I want you to leave, it's just going to get worse and worse, you know, until you leave. And some people are like, okay, I accept the truth of it. Whatever it is, I'm not going to keep indulging you in a shadowy way of being. And out of loving myself, they did that work within themselves. The Six of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. Instead of looking to them to maybe be the answer to get justice and fairness, because they realize I'm not going to get justice and fairness here. So if I want to get justice and fairness, I've got to quit investing in you. Which can be, I got to quit investing in my own shadow nature of immaturity or pride or ego or whatever, if I want my life to be different. But when I decide to quit doing that within myself, I might have to quit investing in some people in my life that at one time I had been investing in and that I didn't maybe kind of want to let go of, because they want me to keep living my life like that, and that's not my truth. And they kind of want me to stay stuck with them, and they don't ever plan to change, and I am motivated to change. So the high vibe people in their life did this work to get balance within themselves and heal and become independent of things that manipulate them. When those things no longer manipulate them, they're more immature nature, they're more defensive nature or wounded, then they're not the same person that they were before. They're ready to move forward in life differently, and some of the people in their life aren't. And it's like, I wish you peace, but that's not how I view life anymore. I've kind of looked at life differently, or I've been enlightened to the truth. You don't maybe view life the way I view it. You might not know things I know, or whatever. View life the way I view it. That's fine. You live your life the way you want. And there'll probably be other people who are willing, people, if they want to get in relationships, can probably get in relationships. And, if people are more stubborn or more ego-based or more materialistic or indulgence-based, eventually they'll probably end up in relationships with people who are more on that page. Those people, that's their truth. That's how they view life. That's what makes them happy. And for some people, they just want to be in a relationship as a place to rest within. But they never plan to do this work within themselves to work through these issues. Oh, that relationship didn't work out. I want to get in another relationship to feel better. And that's kind of like indulging themselves in a relationship. I just want to rest within a relationship. That makes me feel better. But they never plan to free themselves from things that manipulate them, or they're always waiting for someone else. The Seven of Pentacles can be like, well, I'm keeping my options open, but I'll rest within this relationship and kind of indulge in it until maybe something else comes along that, because if you're not, you build a solid foundation based on truth and love. If it's not based on truth and love, why are you in it? For all of these other possible reasons. And for some people, since they don't really do truth and love anyway, if anyone else comes along, more money, more status, more image, more stuck, more fearful, more afraid, more codependent, more immature, more self-indulgent, more willing to indulge me, willing to exchange financial resources or their abundance with me, which can be their loving nature, without requiring me to heal or grow and mature myself. Shadowy energy can be, I want the rewards that come from things, but I don't want to have to put in the work and effort that would be just and fair. I want to be selfish in it. Either you're loving and I don't want to be loving in return. You're authentic. I don't want to be authentic. You're vulnerable. I don't want to be vulnerable. You work with me in a just and fair way. I'm kind of bossy and controlling. The devil wants to be with loving people who don't require them to look at life from any other perspective. Let me be shadowy. You indulge me in a relationship. And God said no. And the high vibe people said no. So eventually they'll probably be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, who also is maybe keeping their options open, but I want a relationship to heal within. I had people who wanted me to grow and mature myself and do love, but I don't really want to do love. And this works for me for now, so I'll stay in it. And they all could be hiding. There's other people we'd rather be in a relationship with where we could have gotten justice, but because we acted prideful or immature or stubborn, there's probably no healing that relationship. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.